Okay. He also said, and you've mentioned this, about the powers that local councils will have to close shops, to cancel events, not arbitrarily, of course, but they won't need to go to a magistrate first and pursue the normal channels. He said authorities are getting better at identifying and isolating local outbreaks. He added that the power to order a national action will remain an option. But are local authorities in position to take this level of action in this country?
I would say yes. I would say a lot of local authorities will be able to do so, are in a position to do so. And the following is this, okay? Because previously, there already existed under the 2010 Health Protection Regulation the ability for them to seek pathway orders to a magistrate prescribed. So there's already a mechanism there for them to carry out the risk assessment and decide which premises to shut down. Now, but what they can't do is shut down an entire sector or an entire region per se. That can only be taken at a national level. At this point in time, where you've got one or two small outbreaks in an area, you could probably apply the local authority powers. But if you're, let's just say, in the middle of the second wave, middle of winter, at multiple outbreaks right across the country, you might find that the government has no choice but to implement another national lockdown in that situation.
Do you think that we have the medical capability to handle this? Do you think we have the facilities? Are the Nightingale hospitals still open?
Yes. My understanding, a lot of them have been mothballed or put on standby. The capacity to respond will depend. To respond to COVID will depend on what the burden of the other diseases are. So we have a lot of our other usual winter illnesses, from influenza to meningitis, strokes and heart attacks into that mix. The capacity of the NHS will be taken up. And likewise, when we have winter outbreaks, as we always do in carriers of especially norovirus, influenza, that's limit the ability to carry to move patients quickly out of hospitals like that. So overall, we might find that in the winter, our health and care sector will not be as flexible as to cope with it.
Let me ask you this finally, Dr. Lee. What do scientists, I'm going to get you to veer into a world outside of academia full time now. Do scientists like Boris Johnson? Or do they not trust him? Go on, I dare you.
I think his credibility is not in a good place.
That's very diplomatic of you. Thank you very much indeed. His credibility is not in a good place. Dr. Andrew Lee, reader in global public health at the University of Sheffield. Well, let's check that with Sir Gerald Howe, former Defence Minister from the Conservative MP for Aldershot. Sir Gerald, good morning. His reputation is not in a good place with the scientists. What do you think?
Because the scientists themselves are divided in exactly what we should do to deal with this completely uncharted situation which we find ourselves. We are coming to terms with a virus which nobody understood and is still defying the experts. And of course work is going on at a rate of knots to try to find a vaccine and a cure for this disease. And I think actually the Prime Minister and his team have done an amazing job in very, very difficult circumstances, because right from the outset, the debate on day one is the same as the debate today, which is essentially this: do we save lives or do we save the economy? And I think that the priority to save life is correct. What the Prime Minister was saying a few days ago was that we should hope for the best, prepare for the worst, and get on with our lives.
You see, I've asked an academic, Professor Lee, who was very good, to tell me, to succinctly sum up what scientists think of Boris Johnson. Now, if I can ask you for the politicians' view of the scientists at the moment, firstly, is there a division? And secondly, what do you make of it?
Well, inevitably, there's debate about how you tackle this issue. There was a continuing battle in the Conservative Party to wearing masks and mandatory wearing of masks and this draconian lockdown is not the best way to proceed. But I think the bulk of opinion feels supporting the Prime Minister. I personally think that he took a hit when he personally suffered from the disease. And let's not forget he came pretty close to losing his life.
In fact, he's named his first child after two of the doctors that saved him, which tells you the situation that he was in. Very nice to speak with you. Thank you, Sir Gerald Howard. Please take care. Sir Gerald Howard is former Defence Minister, former Conservative MP for Allshore. How's Boris doing? Do you trust him on this? 0345 6060973. Isn't it right that he says things along the lines of, look, we're trying to get back to normal by hopefully November the 1st, possibly Christmas? I mean, he's right to be optimistic, or have you lost trust completely? Are you one of these people that would go entirely with the scientists and say the politicians should have no word in this? Well, what then would you say about the French Prime Minister, who has also ruled out, actually the Prime Minister hasn't asked, but theirs has ruled out another nationwide shutdown? French PM says we won't survive economically and socially. It's an absolute generalised lockdown. If Boris had said that, you'd have been all over him, wouldn't you? Give me a shout, 84850. What steps should Boris Johnson be taking at this point? Would you like him to be pessimistic? I think I prefer somebody optimistic. As well as that this hour, which is our discussion, I have to say yesterday in Surrey was an early evening. Violence at a theme park. This is Charlotte Lynch.
Two people have been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after a knife attack at Thorpe Park. With the latest on LBC's Charlotte Lynch.
We'll get the latest on that, and we'll go to Portland, Oregon, where people are being snatched off the street at the behest of the president in an election year. It's just beyond belief where our world is, isn't it? It's Simon Water here on LBC, but over to the news.
Boris Johnson appears to have ruled out the prospect of a second blanket coronavirus shutdown. The number of new COVID cases worldwide has gone up by just over 260,000 in a day. Hundreds of murder cases in England and Wales are said to be backlogged because of lockdown. The weather, early cloud and scattered showers for southern and eastern England. Elsewhere, it's going to be dry with sunny spells and a high of 21 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Joanne Webb. The M4 remains closed in both directions between junction 6 Slough and A9 at Maidenhead, and that's because of the weekend roadworks. Because of an accident in Pinner, the A404 Pinner Road is closed in both directions between Crossway and Cuckoo Hill. In the centre of town, Broad Sanctuary is partially blocked eastbound at Parliament Square. That's because a bus has broken down. And in the city, Ludgate Hill is closed eastbound at Ludgate Circus for emergency repair works.
This is LBC.
If you think there won't be a Macmillan coffee morning this year, you're mistaken. Locusts can plague. Machines can rise. Mutant librarians can rampage. Planets collide if you must. Sorry. Whatever. If cancer doesn't stop, neither do we. Do whatever it takes to help the millions of people living with cancer. Take part in the Macmillan Coffee Morning in partnership with Marks & Spencer. Search for Macmillan Coffee Morning today.
This is the sound of confidence being made in the British Army. Could you make it out? How about now? The sound of a soldier delivering medical supplies, serving the nation. The sound of confidence that lasts a lifetime being made. Recruiting now and always. Search army jobs.
Like you, at Mazda, we've been standing still for a while. And like you, we'd love to get moving again soon. So to drive us through these difficult times, we've created our best offer ever. Every car from the all-new Mazda CX-30 featuring Mazda M Hybrid to the Mazda MX-5 is now available with 0% APR for up to 42 months with nothing to repay for 3 months. So, whatever the road ahead, we'll drive it together. Mazda, drive together. Search Mazda to find out more. Retail sales only. Mazda personal contract purchase. T's and C's apply. Subject to status.
your second name? I must put it out. I think that's very accurate. 84850. Okay, so what's the question then? No, it's not about we're never going to go into lockdown again, because he hasn't said that. So a lot of people are going to say that today, and you're going to turn on the news and you're going to watch it on the telly and the radio, which you're going to keep it here around. We see every step of the way, and they're going to say Boris Johnson has ruled out a second lockdown. No, he hasn't ruled out a second lockdown. He said he will not need another national lockdown. I mean, that's a headline writer. That's not what he said either. It says Mr. Johnson's decision to effectively rule out a session. No, he didn't say that either. Let me get you tell me what you make of it. Let's be very, very accurate about this, because it's going to be characteristic. Now, we're genuinely able now to look at what's happening in much closer to real time, to isolate outbreaks and to address them on the spot, and to work with local authorities to contain the problem locally and regionally if we have to. All right? Now, okay, I've tried to fact check that with Dr. Andrew Lee this morning. He thinks that's okay. He says authorities were getting better at identifying and isolating local outbreaks on the one hand, and then he says, I can't abandon the national lockdown tool any more than I would abandon a nuclear deterrent, but it's like a nuclear deterrent, I certainly don't want to use it. And nor do I think we'll be in that position again. So that's not ruling it out, that's just saying he doesn't want to use it. 0345 606 0973. Are we going in the right direction as far as you're concerned, under the right leadership? A lot of people think he's gone within a year. Interesting from Sir Gerald Howard a minute ago, saying he's still very sort of heavily affected by the impact of COVID-19 as well. All right, listen, you would have seen this news story yesterday if you're a news hound. A man has been seriously injured in a stabbing at Thorpe Park. We need to find out more. Let's do so with Charlotte Lynch, OBC's reporter on the very latest. Hi, Charlotte. Good morning.
Andrew, the victim was slashed with a knife as dozens of people and families were in the theme park enjoying a day out that they hadn't been able to have for months. This victim slashed across the stomach and is seriously injured after a fight was reported between two groups on a footbridge near to the exit. And two men in their 20s have been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. Now, visitors had to be locked down inside of the park while the police rushed in, and on-site medical staff are said to have been there almost instantly. Now, of course, lots of visitors there at the time. One described feeling shaken up, saying there was quite a bit of panic. Pictures on social media actually show the crowds waiting to leave the park locked in after the stabbing. Another visitor put a picture of that up on Twitter. Dozens of people, many of them in masks, stood waiting, wondering what was happening. This visitor calling it scary scenes, adding her thanks to staff for giving out free water and keeping the rides open. Now, this happened just before 5 p.m. yesterday at the very popular, really well-known resort in Surrey, merely weeks after the park has been able to reopen following the coronavirus lockdown. It was only the third Saturday since it's been back up and running. Many families and visitors, no doubt, will have been there enjoying their first day out following lockdown themselves. Now, we have had a statement from the park. A spokesperson for the park said the health and safety and security of our guests is our primary objective. We have an excellent security track record, adding they've never had any incidents of this kind in over 40 years. The police say this isn't being treated as terror-related. They are keen to hear from anybody who saw what happened, and they also believe somebody could well have taken video footage of the attack, and if they have, they of course want to see that. Andrew.
All right, well, Charlotte Lynch, thank you very much indeed for that. Overseas reporter on the latest from Thorpe Park yesterday. Let's go over to the United States now, because the Attorney General for the U.S. state of Oregon has filed a lawsuit against the federal government, accusing it of unlawfully detaining protesters. Now, this is the mayor of Portland, Ted Wheeler, speaking yesterday.
Mr. President, federal agencies should never be used as your own personal army. Let's be clear, this is not political theater. This is far more dangerous than that. We have federal officers on our streets further escalating tensions and causing harm to Portlanders right now. Mr. President, we see right through you. We see what you're doing. So do us a favor. Keep your troops in your own buildings or have them leave our city.
I mean, that's pretty damning stuff, isn't it? Election year, of course. Where are we now? July? September? We're 4 months away from an election, and it appears the president, we said he'd been accused of ordering his personal army, to directly quote Ted Wheeler there, a personal army to snatch people off the streets of an American city. It's pretty extraordinary stuff. Bob Mulholland is a member of the Democratic National Committee and party strategist based in California. Mr. Mulholland, thank you for joining us.
No problem.
I assume I'm characterizing this in the right way, at least from your angle. That's what is being said. President Trump, your president of a republic, is snatching innocent civilians off the street.
I think it's another example of Trump unraveling. You know, he's had a lot of political problems, and of course the virus is causing bigger problems. And all of a sudden, Trump has decided, you know what? Let me be like Nixon with law and order, and I'll send troops. And the tragedy with this Portland thing, it is a violation of U.S. law, is he's sending federal employees, law enforcement, or border patrol people in unmarked uniforms, no identification, and it's glad to see the mayor of Portland as well as the governor of Oregon speaking out and going to court. It's a real tragedy, and hopefully we replace Trump on November 3rd with Joe Biden gets sworn in on January 20th.
Well, we'll talk about what Joe Biden said about it in just a second. Just staying with this for a second, do you have proof that he has ordered any of this? What has Mr. Trump said about whether he's ordered federal agencies to go and snatch people off the streets? I mean, he must have said something about it, presumably.
Well, Trump has certainly said numerous times to mayors, you better take over or stop these marchers, or I'm going to send in people to handle it. And the federal employees have a responsibility, certainly, if there's a federal building like a attorney general's or Justice Department or FBI, where federal employees come in to protect it if it's under some kind of threat. But it appears that Trump, look at these people aren't on their own. These people are working for Trump, and they're just chasing people down the street. Interestingly enough, and I hope this doesn't happen, but in America, as you well know, your listeners know, people have guns everywhere, and they also have what they call stand your ground. So if they see two people coming up dressed up from an Army Navy store without any identification, they could literally shoot them and then tell the police officer, say, hey, I was under threat, I'm standing my ground, and they would probably not be prosecuted. And that's what Trump is risking.
Yeah, no, I understand. And Joe Biden himself, I mean, Trump is very, very good at gaining the headlines, and everyone's talking about Trump, either for him or against him, but they're talking about him, and you know what they say about publicity, and it's almost a case where he looks like he's relishing this, and certainly over here, I'm sure it's different in America, but over here, we just really don't know Joe Biden. He doesn't seem very visible, at the moment. When we do see him, can I be frank with you, he looks a little bit off the pace. I mean, am I wrong?
Well, in 1932, Franklin Roosevelt was the Democratic nominee, and it was the Great Depression, and Franklin Roosevelt's campaign manager said, Franklin, the only thing you have to do is keep your heart beating, because the race 32 as well as 2020, it's about the incumbent, and the incumbent looks and shatters. He is a guy who could have taken over the virus thing back in January and ordered this and ordered that, and even with the loss of life and so many tragedies with this virus, at least Trump would look like he was in charge. But right now, Trump is out of it, and Joe Biden just has to communicate to the American people that I'm stable, I've been around, I have a lot of experience, I know a lot of people, I know a lot of foreign leaders. I will not embarrass this country like Trump has.
Yeah, I know what you mean. If you're playing sport one-on-one and your opponent's killing themselves, well, fine.
Yeah.
Let them carry on. That is certainly one strategy, and you're a strategist, so you should know. Bob Mulholland, thank you. Very interesting talking with you, member of the Democratic National Committee and party strategist based in California. I can't wait for that later on this year. But if we've got the President of the United States in effect, from what I read, ordering federal agencies as his own personal army to snatch people off the streets, well, I think there are some serious questions. Also, some serious questions for Russia to answer. Whether they've answered them satisfactorily, I don't know. We'll investigate. I'm talking about Russia's United Kingdom ambassador has rejected out of hand. I always think it's funny when the Russians are They always reject everything out of hand. Rejected these coronavirus vaccine hacking allegations, which I believe 100%, but that's just me. You can make up your own mind after the news with Bill Overton here on LBC.
Boris Johnson doesn't think the UK will need to resort to another national lockdown during the coronavirus crisis. He's told the Sunday Telegraph he believes a local approach will successfully now deal with further outbreaks. There's been a record daily increase of nearly 260,000 worldwide coronavirus infections. The World Health Organization's also recorded the highest number of deaths globally since May the 10th. 2 men have been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after a stabbing at Thorpe Park in Surrey. A man in his 20s suffered serious injuries after an altercation at the theme park yesterday. The weather: early cloud and scattered showers for southern and eastern England. Further north across Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland today, staying mainly dry with sunny spells and a high of 21 degrees.